roles in the marketing department, and I just want to tell you hello, and I'll be the one walking you through today's craft. Again, I'm going to go through the list of supplies that we're going to need, so you can grab them if you don't already have them. You're going to need some construction paper to build your scene. I have this Creatology construction paper. You can use whatever kind you have. If you have cardstock, that'll work as well. You'll need one chenille stem, even a half a chenille stem. We really don't need that big of a piece. You'll need some paper plates. That's kind of the base of our craft here. So if you have those, please go ahead and grab them. So the project actually asks you to paint. So if you want to paint, you can go ahead and grab your paint. I have black for the night scene, a light blue for the day scene, and a white for the little white specks of for stars on the night scene. You'll need a glue stick. You'll need paint brushes, any that you prefer. I really like these little spongy bouncers. They make it really easy to cover. If you don't plan on painting, you can also grab your crayons, you can grab your markers, and use those to color in the scene instead of using the paint. You'll need scissors and a ruler. A ruler would be really helpful if you have one. Any questions on the supplies before we get started? Okay.
We haven't received any questions, and I also linked to the list just in case.
Okay, perfect, great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clear my space a little bit so I can get started. And I'm going to go ahead and paint just because that's what this calls for, but if you are using crayons or markers, you can go ahead and do that as well. But the first thing we need is one paper plate and a ruler. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to find the center of my paper plate. So this is a 9-inch plate. So I'm going to go look for 4.5 inches. So that's 4.5. But we don't know for sure that that's the very center. So we need to measure this way. And when you find 4.5, that's where your center should be. So we should use that to draw a line halfway through. And this line will just be our guide for the night and the day scene. So you can choose whichever side you want to be, night or day. I'm going to go ahead and get my black paint and my blue paint on my palette. And my son helped me paint. I have this one here because it was partly finished. So I might end up going back to it so that I can show you the next step in case it takes too long to dry. So some blue, a little bit of white. Okay, so I'm going to start with the blue, the day scene. And I'm just going to start painting. Any questions on this part? I'm going to go over what we're doing right here. This is our project for today, and it is a day and night scene, and it's really cool interactive craft that changes your little scene from day to night. So that's what we're going to do. And right now, all we're doing all we've done so far is draw a line right through the middle of the paper plate and to use it as a divider for your day and your night scene. So right now I'm painting the blue sky for my day scene. And then we'll go on to paint black on the other side for the night scene. So this craft was kind of sprung on me a little bit, and so I don't have any fun facts for you today. So I want you to tell me what you plan on putting on your scene. So right here we have a little house with a tree, but you can add a little doggy if you want. You could add your family. You could add whatever you want in your scene. So you can get super creative about whatever you want to look like. But right now, I really like this, this craft paint makes it easier to cover, but I think you just have to be careful because this kind of paint is a craft paint, it's acrylic paint, and it will be harder to remove, so it's not necessarily washable if you don't clean it off right away. So just so you know, to make sure to cover your space. Okay, so I got my day scene done. I'm gonna go ahead and color in my night scene. Any questions?
I don't have any questions right now.
Oh, okay. They're just busy painting. Good. This is kind of a messy part, so if you're trying to type your questions and paint at the same time, it's probably not a good idea. And then the good thing about this is that you don't need to be perfect. If it goes over the line just a little bit, it's not a huge deal, because the base plate that we're creating here is actually going to be a little bit, it's going to be 1/2 inch bigger than the bottom side. So you'll always have a little bit of a buffer to show between seams, if that makes sense. Okay, just filling it in. I love these little sponges. They just make it so easy to cover a big area like this. And if you're using crayons, I feel like that would be really therapeutic right now to just color all over this half of your scene, or use markers. Markers might be a little bit harder when it comes to the ridges right here, but I'm sure you guys could do it. All right. You know, it'd be really cool to do is do like a space scene, to do like have planets over here. Instead of just having stars and a moon, you could have, you know, Saturn or really fun planets. I think that's pretty good. So,
Are you still using the sponge brush, Karina?
yes. Yeah, I have 2 different sponge brushes for both of them, for both colors. And actually, this is drying pretty quickly, so I might be able to use this one. But I'm going to set it aside, and I'll show you kind of the next piece. You'll want to set aside your paint palette to give you space to get your construction paper. So once you've thought about what you want to create, I'm going to go ahead and replicate the house here that I created and the tree. So I'm going to grab the colors that I want for my house. And I already have blue, red scrap paper, yellow from making it earlier, brown for the tree and green. So I'm going to start with my house, and I'm going to make a blue house instead. Like the base of the house, I'm going to make it blue. And the base of the house is just a basic shape. It's just a square, a rectangle. So I am just going to go in and create a rectangle shape. And then I'm going to do a red roof instead of a blue roof, like I did. And what I can do, so that's basically, if you wanted to replicate this, it's basically a triangle with the top cut off like this. So I'll show you up close kind of what that looks like. It's like a triangle with the top cut off. So I'm just going to cut this out right here. And then the chimney is just a cylinder. So it's just like a long rectangle. So I'm going to draw that out because it makes it a little bit easier. The smaller pieces like the windows and the doors are pretty easy to cut out freehand. But you can go ahead and make smaller, 2 small squares or rectangles and 1 longer rectangle for the door. You can go ahead and draw those out if you feel you need a guide. Oh, you guys, my roof is too small. So it might be important, and I'm going to grab, I think my house is just a tad bit too big. I'm going to grab my plate to make sure my house is going to fit nicely. I think that's pretty nice. That's pretty big. A nice spot for it, but this is not going to be big enough. So let's measure how big this is. This is about 2 inches. So we'll need a triangle at least 2.5 inches because, you know, the roof kind of overlaps the house. So here we go, 2.5, I'm gonna do, okay. There's my triangle, and then I'm gonna cut off the top, like this. We'll see how this works. Does anybody else have some other creative scenes that they're creating outside of a house or a tree? Are they adding any animals outside?
We had one person say that they're thinking of doing an underwater scene, and the other side will be above water.
I love that idea. I was thinking that I'll probably redo this project with my son because he loves sea animals. And so if I use that blue as the ocean, I could have little octopus or have a boat. Okay, so I have my chimney, my roof. Now I'm gonna add little squares for a door and windows.
Have some people adding a dog to their scene.
Yeah, I love that.
Some people putting their house on the beach.
Yes, love a house on the beach. Could even have a little kitty cat on the tree. And you don't have to cut it out of construction paper. What you could do with those, you know, those more intricate things is draw them right onto your paper plate. It would, you know, make it a little bit easier there.
Some people are doing space. So we have outer space and the ocean are popular ones.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so I have my main pieces for my house, so I'm going to start gluing them on to put it together and then work on my tree. So I have my glue stick. My glue stick. And then I think I might be able to use the paper plate I painted on. It looks like it's almost all the way dry. Okay.
We have someone doing a tree house.
Oh, yay, that would be so cool. I want to see that. Now, my chimney. And I'm going to add that from behind, like this. There's my little house. Now I'm on to work on my tree. So, set aside red and blue and get my brown and green. So the tree trunk's really easy. It's just a long rectangle. And let's just make sure that the tree isn't too tall. So I'd say, you can always trim it off, but I'm trying to be a little more precise for this one. I'd say about 3.5 inches. And then you can even, instead of making like just like a regular green leaf tree, you can have it be different colors. Like, I don't know what part of town you live in or what part of the country you live in, but if you have trees already changing colors about this time, that would be cool to have a tree that has like orange and yellow and red leaves on it instead of just the green leaves, but it's not, we're not there yet. All of our trees are still green. So that is a good size. Now for the top of my tree, I'm just gonna do like a, kind of like a cloud shape. That's usually how I draw my trees, with a cloud, like kind of like a cloud shape. So not really an oval, but just like a fluffy cloud. So I'm gonna just use my drawing as a guide. There we go. So there's my tree. Okay, so I got that. Let's glue my tree trunk to my tree. So I have those together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut out the moon and the sun from the yellow construction paper, and we're gonna get working on the base plate of the scene. Okay. So, and I'll do what I did for the tree and everything else. I'm gonna draw the sun the way I normally would, so that I can use that as my guide. Just a circle with a bunch of triangles coming out of it. Okay, and then my moon, you could have a full moon, you could have a half moon, but I like the little quarter moon. So, now I just cut those out. This might take a little bit longer to cut out for you if you're doing it this way. Another idea is you could just do a sun, like a circle, make a sun that's just a circle. It doesn't have to have the triangles on it to make it like a starburst. Another thing you could do is, if you didn't want to use construction paper and your paint had already dried, you might be able to start painting your sun right onto your paper plate. And that would kind of cut out this step. And that's one less thing you have to grab and cut. And painting's just way more fun sometimes, even though it's a little more messy. Okay, got my sun. Now I'm off to cut my moon. How's everybody's school year starting out? I'm sure there's a few people around the country that have already started virtual learning or in-school learning. How's that going for everybody? I hope it's going as best as it could at this point. I'm sure it's an adjustment, but I think I got really excited because my son was able to meet his teacher today. He will be starting next week, and he was so excited to meet his teacher. All right, so we're going on to the second part where we'll need, go grab your other paper plate. Let me grab this one because it's cleaner. And what you'll do is, you'll do similar to what you did when you were trying to find the middle, the center of your plate. So you'll measure both sides of the plate. So this is 4.5 inches. Now, this is 4.5 inches here. The center will be right here. And then what you'll do, once you've found the center of your plate, you'll need to measure 1/2 inch above that center point and just make a little mark. And then you'll just cut or draw a straight line all the way through that 1/2 inch above the middle, the center of the plate. And this is a piece where I was telling you, you know, if your day and night scene wasn't completely straight, if it was, you know, you had a little spillage from day to night, it's not a big deal because you won't be able to see that. And once you've cut that line, you see it's about 1/2 inch above the center. You'll grab your scissors and cut off the top part. So the smaller piece is the one you don't need. The bottom bigger piece is the one you keep. So let's go ahead and cut that out. Any questions? Any fun ideas outside of the solar system or outer space? Yep. Okay, so now that you've cut your bottom out, you can start gluing your scene. So I'm going to glue my house first. And you'll make sure you put it around about halfway on, halfway off. It'll make a really cool effect that way. And then you'll grab your tree and you'll also glue that on. And like I said, if you want to get creative and draw something else over here, like animals, like you were mentioning, that go right ahead. At this point, that's a good time to do it before you glue these on. I'm going to go ahead and glue my sun on the day scene. Since it's already dry, I can handle it without getting super messy. Oh, there was one more piece to the night scene, and so that was adding little white specks of paint to create little stars. So the instructions say you can use a wet paintbrush and just put a little bit of white paint on it and then use that to kind of just speckle it. So that's what I did in this first one. But the specks were kind of small. You can really see them. And if you like that, that's totally fine. But for this one, I'm gonna use the end of my paintbrush. That's usually pretty pointy to make my little stars, my little white specks. And some of these might look kind of a lot bigger, but I kind of like that you can see it a little more. So I'm done with that, and I'm going to grab my moon and glue him on the night scene. And I find it really cool sometimes that I think when the sun is setting, you can kind of see the moon coming out already. So I find that really cool, and my son always points that out to me because he finds it fascinating. Okay, so we've got these two finished pieces. How do we bring them together? So you overlap them like this, and then you'll need your really sharp pair of scissors. So if you can have your parents help for this, that would be great. Because I found that the child-safe scissors were kind of hard to do this part for. So you had made a center mark when you were trying to find the center of the top plate. So you'll use that as a guide, and you'll try to punch a hole in that same spot right there. And I'm just gonna use the end of my scissors to punch the hole through both plates right there. And you see, it comes right out. So now I have the hole through both plates. And then this is where you'll get your chenille stem. And all you need is about an inch of the chenille stem, so cut that off. You thread it through the two pieces of the two paper plates, and then you just fold one down and fold the other one the other way to keep them together like this. And then you can turn it like that. So here's the days scene. And look, my tree is kind of covering the sun. You can always make a smaller tree so your tree doesn't cover up everything, but. So
we have a question if you could use a hole puncher instead of scissors to make the hole, or if that would be too big.
It might be too big, yeah. You might need a different fastener if you were to use a hole punch. What else would be a good thing to punch a hole with? Maybe if you had like a skewer, that might be better and a little bit safer. But ideally, ask a parent to help you with that piece of it. So yeah.
Could you show the fastening one more time?
Yeah. So I just threaded it through, and really the instructions just said all you do is you thread, and I can take it off. You have the piece, the 1-inch piece, and you just thread it through. And all you do is you fold it over like that, and then the other side, you fold that over the other way, and that's it. And then what I did on this was a little bit different. I almost tried to twist the chenille stem a little bit, and just to keep it more secure. So you can do that as well. It might just be a little bit harder on your fingers to do that. So I twisted it so that it wouldn't fall out. You can see it a little bit better this way. And then I'll show you kind of how it looks over here. So there's my house, my blue house and my red house. And this house I made a little bit bigger, and you can tell the tree's a little bit bigger here, and it covered up my sun. So you might want to make those adjustments, or start adding stuff right here. I think that would be really cool. I don't think this is quite finished. We need way more additions to make this scene more fun.
They're going to add grass on the house side.
Yeah, that's great. You can add some grass. You could add, I don't know, what else can you add? Some bushes, some flowers. That'd be really great to draw some flowers in here. Draw some flowers. Color in a little, draw some grass. Draw some grass. Stem.
Some people are adding flowers.
Yeah, I love that. It needs a little something extra, doesn't it? This is just a jumping off point for you guys to get super creative. I'm glad I was able to just walk you through the starting point of this, but there are so many possibilities with this, and I can't wait to see what you guys add to it. So if you want your parents to share your artwork with us, please use the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels. And if you didn't have all the supplies for today's class, and want to come back and rewatch it, this video is being recorded and it'll be on the website michaels.com/classes starting tomorrow, so 24 hours after the class. And so you can go ahead and watch it whenever you'd like, create it with some friends once you're able to meet up with them. This is really simple, fun craft that you can do and totally create anything that you want. So any other questions before I say goodbye?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for crafting with us, and hope to see you guys again and, later on this fall. Bye.